Hi everyone, Gene here. Today I'm going to be talking about how I got started in pressure washing, even though I have little to no experience doing it. So let's get started. So it goes back to about 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we owned a rather successful carpet cleaning business. We were doing all right. We were able to go do what we needed to do, what we wanted to do. If emergencies came up, we could take care of it. Everything was good. Well, and then all of a sudden, January of 2021 hit, and my wife got diagnosed with kidney cancer. It was a very, very severe kidney cancer she had going on. It was growing in one of the veins. I think it was called vena cava, to working its way towards her liver, and everything got real scary real fast. Well, then the insurance that she had at the time, they wouldn't do the procedure. They wouldn't do the surgery that needed to happen. She needed to have a kidney removed. They wouldn't do it. It was too risky of a procedure. Well, back then, of course, COVID was happening, and there was restrictions on everything. Well, then there was one surgeon in the entire state that would do the procedure. And it was so severe that he scheduled it that very next week. Well, she had 10% chance of surviving this procedure, and so the day came for it. She went through the procedure, and thank God she survived, and everything is going a lot better for her. Well, then, fast forward a few months, now it's May. In May, I get a call that I'd hate to have any parent have. It was the scariest call I'd ever gotten. I got a call that my 18-year-old son got ran over by a drunk driver while he was walking across the intersection, and she literally drug him into the middle of the intersection. And he was in the ICU in Nashville, Tennessee. I live on the West Coast. So then my wife and I hopped the quickest flight we can. I believe, if I remember right, it was like the next day. We were flying out. We were headed over to Nashville, and we spent a week there helping to take care of him, getting him set up with stuff that he needed so that he could recover well until a few days after he got out of the hospital. Well, then he's doing a lot better now. He acquired the nickname, because I've got a real messed up sense of humor. He acquired the nickname Speed Bump. So now I call him Speed Bump. Some people don't like that, but him and I, we get a good kick out of it. Just so I make sure I don't forget, since I'm new at all this, if you wouldn't mind, if you're enjoying this kind of content, me just telling you my story, at least a short version of it the last couple of years, I would really appreciate it if you had hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe for me if you would. It would really, really help me out. I appreciate it. So back to the story. So that was May. Well, now fast forward to August. August hits, and I get the worst COVID you could imagine. I have COVID pneumonia. I was septic. There was something else that I can't even remember what they called it. Well, I ended up hospitalized. My oxygen levels were way down. They're supposed to be in the mid-90s, and I was at the low 70s, which is dangerous. So I ended up hospitalized immediately. As soon as I went in, they locked me down and had me on oxygen for a week, and it was just horrible. Well, then I finally got out of the hospital. I couldn't pass the oxygen test for breathing. So finally I got out of the hospital and sent home with oxygen. I was on 5 units of oxygen, if I remember correctly, 24/7, even though I'm stubborn and didn't do it 24/7. I was supposed to. Well, then 2 weeks after I get released from the hospital, both of my lungs collapse. They partially collapsed, fluid and air around both of my lungs, and I end up in the hospital again. This time I'm in the VA hospital, and they had serious restrictions where you couldn't have any visitors no matter what, because they had some huge outbreak before that. so my wife couldn't even come see me. They didn't know if I was going to make it or not at first. They were talking about having to go in through the side and put a tube in so that I could breathe and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty bad. So during all of this going on, even before I got sick, the wife and I started talking about, maybe we should look at doing something different. She had this new lease on life that God had given her. We were in Tennessee talking when we first started talking about it, and she's like, "Why don't you start a pressure washing company?" Well, we still had the carpet cleaning company, and it was doing well. We didn't need to do a pressure washing company at that time. But then we started talking about selling it and moving out of state, getting this fresh start. Well, the company ended up selling a lot quicker than we ever imagined it could. A friend of mine ended up buying it, and so then pressure washing started sounding pretty good. But the last year and a half has been pretty rough. I haven't been able to do much, and over the last few months I've been getting better and better, and now I can do the pressure washing. So here I am. I purchased the equipment. You've probably seen me walking around it a little bit. That's going to be in a video next. Probably post that one tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you how I came about deciding what equipment to get. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't forget, like, subscribe, bell, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll talk to y'all later.